Hello, welcome to the workflow class 2 part 1. So under this class 2 part 1 we will see what I'm going to cover, but before going ahead let's have a quick revision what we have seen in our last session. So in last session under part 1 of class 1 we have seen the introduction of the workflow, what is manual workflow, the disadvantages of the manual workflow, why SAP workflow. Then we have seen SBWP transaction where user can see the work item. Then we understood what is task and what is work item. Then the different types of tasks, and we have also seen what is the difference between messages and work item. And we have seen like what is the workflow builder. So for this, we have checked this particular transaction where we can go and create the workflow. So this is what we have, done in our last class. Just quickly taking you through the slides over here. Definition part, one example illustrated with the help of photo and all, and this is like what is task and work item, and transaction. To create the task or display the task, we have the PFTC, or to display the workflow we have the transaction called PFTC, this particular transaction. Fine. Then attribute of a task, right? So four different attribute. This part also we have seen different types of agents, possible, responsible, and actual. We will see the agents in more detail. The code to check workflow configuration is SWU3. This part, we have seen. And then under the practical session, we have seen like, that how to create a workflow and how to trigger an email, right? How to take the decision. So this part under the part 2, under the demo session, we have seen. Now, class 2 part 1, today, let's go and see. We are going to discuss more about the container today. We will be taking one example to illustrate how the data can flow from one container to another container. So let's try to understand what are the different types of container theoretically, and then I will show you in practical. So see, container is nothing but it's a workflow variable like, data object in ABAP. So you can define the variable, you can define a work area, you can define internal table. So container, the one which can contain some value. So here variable in the workflow is known as container. Okay, so here like it can have the export parameter, import parameter, like that. It can have the option so that you can pass the parameter into, so that you can pass the value into the container, and container can exchange the value between the different container. I will show you that in practical. So what actually I'm trying to show you, for example, so we have the different types of container. So let me uh, quickly show you that here, like, for example, we have the one container, this workflow container, and so the main, this is the main container. From this workflow container, like if you want to pass the value to the task container, that workflow is the combination of different tasks, right? So from the main container, from the main workflow, if you want to pass the data to the task, how to do that. From the task, that each and every task is associated with any business object method or class method, right? So business object method or class method, So if it is associated with any kind of such method, then that method would also require the value in order to operate the business logic, right? Let's suppose if you have to save some data into the database, right? If you have to set some flag into some database, so any kind of database update, if you want to require with the help of like the container value, right? Then you have to transfer that data into this class method or business object method. So that part I will show you with the help of one example under the practical session. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead and see. So these are the different points about the container. In container, you can set up the initial value. You can have the import export parameter. You can mark the import parameter as a mandatory parameter. You can also like choose an option called multi-line. With the help of selecting that option multi-line, a container you can make as an internal table. I will show you that one, okay, in today's session itself. Container is of like different types. Here you can see that you have the first one, workflow container, right? The second one is the task container. Third one is the method container. Fourth one is the rule container, and fifth one is the event container. So from event container to workflow container, from workflow container to task container to method container, from method container, yeah, this we will discuss later. Okay, so how to flow the data in different types of container, that we will try to understand. Today I will show you from workflow to task, from task to method. Fine. So now let's go and check the next slides. What is this binding? So binding is nothing but, this is the way of transferring the data from one container to another container. So mechanism of exchange the data between different containers. Automatic binding option can help you. So in binding, in workflow, you have one option called automatic binding. It will help you to bind between two container, their parameters automatically. That also we'll see with the help of demo example. Fine. Now here you can see the possibility between like a workflow container can transfer the data from here to task container, from workflow container to rule container, and from workflow container to event container. That means workflow container can exchange the data, with task container, event container, or rule container. So just a theoretical part. Event container similarly like exchange the data either like with task container or workflow container. So just theoretical part, task container can again like have the data exchange with method or rule or workflow. So these are the different method again can have with the task container, and this is like to and fro, like not in only one direction. Method can pass to task and task can pass to method. Both way it can have. Workflow to rule, rule to workflow. Fine. Then regarding the task attribute, the task can have the different attributes. So at least we have seen in last class also, like general task, forwarding allowed, forwarding not allowed. So different options we have seen. There were 4 options. Out of those 4 options, at least you have to select one option. Sometimes what happens that when you move the transport from the development to quality and quality to production, let's suppose in development you have chosen one of the attribute of a task, but when you move the transport from development to quality, then there it goes on, means you will not be able to see. In that case, it gives the error. So what you will have to do manually, that you will have to go into that particular task and you have to check it out if the attribute is selected or not. If attribute is not selected, you will have to select the attribute. So such kind of problem now and often when a newly created workflow is there, you may be able to find. One bonus, tips over here or bonus knowledge here, like you should know, this is very frequently used task for the purpose of making the decision. Yesterday we have used for the decision making. This is that task TS8267. This is the standard task. Okay. In next session, we will try to understand, what are the different types of tasks, what are the difference between them. There are so many things to yet come. What are the different types of work item? What are the different statuses can be there with the work item? All these things we will see in our tomorrow session, in the next session. Okay, fine. So here, this was I was talking about, if you have a task, right? So under this option, like if you the red one, you can see that if you click on this particular option, you will be able to go and check it out the different attribute of a task, and you will have to select one. Here, if this one is like agent assigned, that means the agent assigned. Task complete, if this is the green for this particular task, that means there is no syntax. Task complete means from the syntax point of view there is no error. Okay. Confirm end of processing, I will show you with the help of one example, but here let me tell you confirm end of processing. That means sometimes what happens that you will have to do the attachment when you approve a work item, or maybe you have, if you reject a work item, you will have to attach some Word document or maybe some PDF or some sort of document if you want to attach. Then after attaching, you get one option called complete work item. Okay. And if you select this particular option under the task, that pop up that option to complete the work item, you know, you will be able to see over there. I will show you in today's session itself. Okay. Background processing, like if you mark a task as a background processing, it will not give a pop-up like, background means it will just go and execute in the background, right? Background means background. It will not, user will not be able to take the any action. It will not go into the user inbox, right? So that's the meaning of. So now let's go and see the part 2, the demo part. Okay.